My name is Serenity. It's been a few months since I last heard from my family, and for the first time in a long while, I feel at peace. The silence that once felt like punishment now brings a strange kind of comfort, like a gentle breeze after a long, stormy night. I remember the day I received an invitation to my sister, Lily's, third baby shower. It was an elegant, cream-colored envelope, thick and formal. Inside was a golden, embossed invitation with the theme Little Royal on the way, but there was no warm note, no "we miss you" or "hope you're well." Just a gift registry filled with luxury brands, iPads, Dior baby shoes. I didn't RSVP. I didn't text. Instead, I picked up my kids, Max and Mia, from school early. We stopped for ice cream and sat on the curb, talking about the kind of people we wanted to be. When we got home, I gave them each a journal. Write anything, I told them. What you're proud of, what you've survived, what made you feel small, and what helped you grow again. Mia looked up at me with those big, innocent eyes and asked, "Even the sad parts?" "Especially those," I replied. "Because if you don't write them down, the world will rewrite them without you." That night, I posted a photo of us. Max was laughing mid-bite, and Mia was wrapped in a blanket, her cheeks sticky from marshmallows. The caption read, "Sometimes peace isn't found in forgiveness. Sometimes it's found in the quiet act of no longer begging to be remembered." I turned off the comments, not out of anger, but because I felt a sense of completion. Let me take you back to the events that led me to this point. My family comes from a well-to-do background. My parents, Henry and Rose, are part of the upper middle class. Dad is a successful lawyer, and Mom is a socialite who loves to host parties. They've always been more concerned with appearances and social status. I've spent years quietly supporting my parents, both emotionally and financially. I'd send them gifts, help with their bills when they needed it, and always be there for family gatherings. But they've always had a soft spot for my sister, Lily. She's married to a wealthy businessman, and they have a glamorous lifestyle. Their kids, Ethan and Ava, are used to getting the best of everything. It was Christmas Eve. Max and Mia were sitting on the carpet, coloring the backs of leftover gift wrap. They were smiling, full of hope, even though they knew our financial situation wasn't great. Mom came up to me, her eyes avoiding mine, and said softly, "We couldn't afford presents for your kids this year." I nodded, trying to keep my composure. "It's fine," I said. "We're just happy to be together." Just then, Lily's luxury SUV pulled into the driveway. The doors flew open like in a movie scene. Ethan and Ava tumbled out, wearing designer clothes and boots, with perfect curls and that smug look that said they were the favorites. They ran inside and started tearing into boxes marked with their names in gold calligraphy. There were iPads, sneakers that cost more than my monthly rent, and tickets to a concert that Mia had quietly wished for. Mom beamed and said, "Wow, Santa really outdid himself." I looked at Max and Mia. They were still smiling, but I could see the pain in their eyes. I started zipping up their coats, one button at a time. Dad, sitting behind his newspaper, chuckled and said, "You know times are hard." That was the last straw. I packed our things, whispered some words of comfort to my kids, and we left. There were no raised voices, no tears, just the sound of our boots on the tile floor. The next morning, I woke up, poured myself a cup of coffee, and opened my laptop. I typed a single post. It wasn't angry, it was just honest. I posted a photo of Max and Mia sitting cross-legged on the floor, smiling over mugs of cocoa and dollar store candy canes. The caption read, "No iPads. No designer sneakers. Just love, warmth, and the quiet strength of children who are used to being last." Within 15 minutes, my phone started ringing. Cousins, aunts, and even Mom called. The post hit like a match dropped in dry grass. The comments came in fast, followed by private messages and missed calls. Even my quietest cousin, who never likes anything on social media, messaged me saying, "I always wondered how you handled it. I see you now." By noon, Mom texted me, "Why would you embarrass us like that? You made it look like we don't love your kids. You could have just talked to me." But I had talked. Every year, every holiday, every overlooked birthday and forgotten milestone. I'd talked when I offered to host family events, when I asked for fairness, and when I sent handmade gifts for their grandkids and got nothing in return. She only heard me when others did. I replied, "You said you couldn't afford them. But somehow, you always find room in the budget for favorites." That evening, Lily joined the fray. That post was passive-aggressive. "You ruined Christmas for Mom," she said. I didn't reply because Christmas had already been ruined when my kids sat quietly in the corner, unwrapping nothing but silence. I wasn't bitter, I was done. The next day, there was a soft, hesitant knock on the door. I opened it to find my Aunt Grace, the peacemaker of the family. She was always neutral, always smiling, and quick to say, "Let's not make drama." She held a tin of stale cookies and said, "I'm not here for them. I'm here to clean up their mess. I just came to check in." She stepped inside without asking and said, "You know your mom's heart is broken, right? She's been crying for days. Your sister's furious. Your post made them look like villains." I calmly replied, "Then maybe they should stop writing themselves into that role." Her fake smile faltered. She tried to convince me that they loved my kids, but I knew the truth. They love being seen loving my kids when it's convenient, when there's a camera, when it costs nothing, I said. I walked over to the shelf and pulled out a shoebox. Inside were 7 years of cards that Max and Mia had made. Thank you notes for gifts that never came, drawings labeled to Grandma and Grandpa, mailed with sticky fingers and hope. Not once had they been acknowledged. I placed the box in her lap and said, "Tell her they kept showing up, even when they were forgotten." Grace left without saying goodbye. 2 days passed, and there was nothing but silence. It was the kind of silence that comes from offended pride, not reflection. Then, Mom posted a photo of Ethan and Ava holding their new iPads on Facebook. The caption read, "So grateful to spend another magical Christmas with our beautiful grandchildren. #familiarize everything #blessed." My kids weren't in a single frame, not even in the background. Aunt Grace commented, "Such precious memories. You're the best grandparents anyone could ask for." I posted again, just one sentence. "If love is measured by photos and presents, I'm glad my children are being raised to understand what love is not." It exploded again. There were more shares, more comments, and messages from people I didn't even know. I thought I was the only one. "You put into words what I've carried for years. Thank you for speaking it out loud," they said. The phone calls started turning performative. My brother-in-law, Tom, the family's unofficial PR manager, called. He spoke in a low, serious voice, like he was handling a scandal. "Look, Serenity, I'm sure your mom didn't mean anything by it. You know how holidays get," he said. I let him talk, and then I asked, "Do you remember what my kids got for Christmas last year?" There was a long silence, a pause, and then a throat clearing. They weren't at the main party, right?" he asked. "They were," I said quietly. "They were sitting next to you. They each got a $5 coffee card and a used coloring book." He didn't respond, and I hung up. That evening, Mia asked me, "Did Grandma forget about us again?" I paused and then told her the truth. "No, baby. She just remembered your cousins louder." I opened the top drawer of my desk and pulled out the birthday card Mom had sent me 2 months earlier. It was pre-printed, just happy birthday with no note and no signature. I handed it to Mia and said, "Do you want to draw something on it?" She drew a heart, 2 stick figures, and a tiny line that said, "Maybe next year." I took a photo of it, not for vengeance, but as proof that we weren't invisible. By the following week, I stopped expecting apologies. I finally understood that they weren't sorry for what they did, they were sorry I said it out loud. Mom sent one last message, "Families have ups and downs, but making things public, that's cruel. You've embarrassed us enough. I didn't reply, but I opened a new document titled What They Called Cruel and listed all the things they'd done. That Friday, I published a new post. It was a letter to families who claim unity while practicing favoritism. I wrote that we see them, our kids see them, and no amount of group photos or holiday captions can cover the quiet sting of being left out. We're not angry anymore, we're awake. A new cousin I barely knew reached out and said she'd shared my letter with her therapist. She thanked me for being brave. I didn't feel brave, I felt free. One final call came from Lily. She said, "Mom's been sick over this. She's not eating. She's embarrassed to go to church. You've made her look like a monster." I replied, "She did that herself years ago. I just stopped covering it up." She sighed and said, "You're so dramatic. This could have been fixed with a single conversation." I almost laughed and said, "I tried. I talked. I gave. I forgave. But none of that ever changed how our kids were treated. They were an afterthought. So now I've stopped pretending they weren't." She muttered, "You've always been jealous." I didn't yell. I just hung up. That night, I sat with Max and Mia and showed them how to write letters to themselves. I told them to write about what they were proud of, what they'd survived, and what they wanted to remember. And now, here we are. Our first Christmas without them was simple, messy, and real. We danced in our pajamas, built a crooked gingerbread house, and knew, without a doubt, that we were enough. I've distanced myself from the hurt, from the favoritism, and from the invisible role of the dutiful daughter. I've done it so my kids won't grow up thinking that love comes with conditions.